Hey guys, welcome back to the High Flying Adventures of Captain Grief. Are you ready for story time once again? Today I'd like to read you something from the Canadian Literary Food Journal that I was published in 2015. I think it is a standalone memoir piece or personal essay, as they call it in this, but it is one of the memoir pieces in my book. And there's a lot of memoir pieces like this, so I thought I would give you a little taste. A little taste of what some of the writing is like. Again, this is called Going to Market. The interlocking stone path under the wheels of the stroller remained unchanged, but when I put my foot in the supposed solid ground, it squelched and squirmed. I felt the urge to cry, but the recent overly zealous watering seemed to make my tears redundant. It had rained the day before and all through the night. I had slept with the window open and let the cool wind tumble relief all over my clammy June evening skin. The slowly warming day had begun, and I was out of excuses. Anticipation of pain is in many ways worse than the pain itself. But now it was Tuesday, and it was time. I had cash, I had time off, I was returning to the market. I wrote a blog post about shrines. This is one of the ones I wrote in the book. And how these things are not just walls of pictures and collections of keepsakes. They are also songs, activities, places and times of the year. The grounds of the East York Civic Center have been one of those immovable shrines. It was a small frozen labyrinth all winter, snowy stone paths strewn with empty frosted flower beds and large sections of crunchy grass that were a natural shortcut to our house, but at a cost. Cutting through this short expanse would inevitably lead to showers of tears that made me nickname the place Ball Your Face Off Park. It was as if I could still see the ghosts of the seasonal farmers market that we frequented as a family as often as we could. Walking through it, I could not help but remember the square of tables covered in little green baskets filled with colorful produce. I could see long white canopies sheltering the farmers and the people buying fruits and vegetables, and somewhere, swirling in amongst the same frozen recollection, I knew she was there, the ghost of my wife. I went straight to the couple in the corner selling mushrooms and took another breath. I had wondered on a number of occasions if they would remember me, if they would remember us from when we were all of us. My son and I, at least, were there every week and chatted to them about vacation plans. Once, when I did not have enough money for my usual bag of cremini mushrooms, and I had forgotten that week's barbecue party, one of many, to buy for, the gentleman flashed me a smile and said, "Pay me next week." He's a lovely man. He was astounded when I returned with a toonie, and he expounded for a good couple of minutes on the virtue of honesty and the nature of good folk. Instead, this time around, he just asked me what I would like. He smiled the same gentle smile and handed me a brown paper bag, in between teasing my son and making him giggle. I felt like a statue, trying to form a smile out of unrelenting material I had to work with. No, it wasn't a smile. It was just that the shape of my mouth changed a little, and it passed for a smile. I looked at him and I wondered, do you know that I'm dead inside? Can you tell that I am at this moment a walking, talking shadow with a limited number of expressions? He did not. No one did. It is the profoundness of pain, when you're grieving perhaps, that makes the griever think it must be visible. I turned to continue down the line to the other vendors, but I had to stop myself and turn in the opposite direction, along the route we usually walked. Hitting the large vegetable booth closest to the northeast entrance of the market, I sense a sense of familiarity. Apparently, enunciation is hard tonight. I'm going to start that again. A sense of familiarity, familiarity, a sense of familiarity, a sense of familiarity set in. Anything else would have been strange and unnecessarily painful. And so our summer market journey began again with small multicolored tomatoes, a basket of mini cucumbers, tender zucchini, and 2 bunches of slender asparagus. Breathing easier now, I thought, as I tied the bag to the stroller and headed to the honey booth. I had been craving honey on toast for the last few days, and being allowed to fulfill this ripe desire was actually satisfying. I saw the jars of bee pollen and smiled, at least internally, to remember how the vendors had almost convinced me to take this popular delicacy home to my wife. There is a theory in holistic medicine that taking a small dose of the bee pollen would cure seasonal allergies. Kara was an open-minded person, but she also suffered the constant inconveniences and indignities of every season allergy. As I told her about this new and wonderful sounding product, I had only to look at her face to know what she would have thought of that particular theory, and it was total bunk. Her expression made me realize that the jar of bee pollen was the last thing I should ever bring home from the market. Good thing I settled on a jar of creamed honey instead. At the next stall, I saw the little purple vegetables that made me reevaluate my estimation of eggplant as a mushy, stringy substance. We started off with small, adorable-sized eggplants, prompting us to use my invented catchphrase in reference to my mother and her love of all things baby-sized. As soon as we were hooked on eggplant, we moved on to grown-up-sized ones and cut the slices into large wheels and massaged them in a mix of olive oil, fresh dill, and lemon. These were the kind of vegetables that stood up on the grill. With a barbecue just outside the back door, patio dining was easy. Plus, we were consuming the kind of fresh summer fare: long, dill-speckled stripes of zucchini, large, plump mushrooms, and the round, spiral-pattern onions that made us want to eat dinner outside every night. No wonder we ended up having so many barbecues for our friends. It was these outdoor celebrations that made our place feel like home. I lost count of the number of times that Kara went for propane. I had to draw a breath looking at the kids running through the market square. I stood and looked at the white canopies, the babies with messy faces snuggled to their parents, the dogs on leashes hunting down the prevalent smell of bread and beef in the air, and the nurses and the doctors in scrubs from the nearby hospital buying food on their break. The slow, gentle gait of everyone around me made them seem unperturbed by any kind of existential crisis. I went for cheese. The youngish, curly-haired, bearded man slivered off a sample from a number of white wedges of cheese and passed them to me delicately off the tip of his knife. Ben chomped down on the goat milk camembert, and I again smiled widely to remember Kara and how she felt about goat cheese. It tastes like dirty socks. My response was obvious in the, well, how do you know that you don't like it if you haven't tried dirty socks way? But she never gave me an answer. I bought a hard goat cheese and lodged it down into the cool well of produce in the bag we had not even filled. It was only 10:30 or so, and when I got to the barbecue grilling station, I thought, it's too early to justify a hot dog, even if the memories of Kara's preferred lunch A dog covered in mustard and sauerkraut was luring me in. At the moment, I became aware of a conversation. Nearby me, a child said to her mother, "I can see the hospital." "Yes," she answered. "It's the building with the big blue H." "Yes," I said in my mind. "Yes." I can't forget how just a block down the street is the place where my wife died. Twice. Before they got her into the ambulance to go to another hospital. I feel like she waited for me, waited until I had seen her through the glass and maybe could see me too. She was unconscious, but I feel sure she knew I was there, in the waiting room. I also knew in the pit of my stomach that when the alarms went off and the staff went running back down the hall, it was because she was trying to make an escape from her body. This is not something you forget, especially when you are with your son at a farmer's market just up the street. I almost did not register the change to the grilling stall until I caught the scent of fresh bread in the air. The bakery and meat truck was not parked in the usual spot at the north entrance, but here they were, the long, slender loaves called pizza sticks we got every few weeks, or perhaps most weeks, as a treat. 5 or 6 to a bag, all still molded together from baking in the same pan. I reached for them, and they almost collapsed under the pressure of my grasp. Breaking one apart for the two of us, the bright smell of tomato hit the back of my nose, and for a moment I was made motionless by memory. For a minute she was there, not because anything had changed, but because she was interchangeable with this moment. After getting a quart of the first local strawberries, I got a hot dog anyway. The market was too small, the errand was too quick. I sat on the bench and tried to tempt Ben with the hot dog. He always liked Kara's better. He was having no more of the stroller, so I consented to let him walk after I bought a yellow cherry tomato plant. Finally, we headed out. Winding through the park a second time that day, later on as we returned home from the last swimming class of the season, I looked at the market space again. I could see the wide divots in the earth that the farmer's stalls and feet had made. It was still empty, but this time around did not feel as haunted. Like the single pilgrimage had put some uneasy spirit of the past to rest. It said, "You need to fill me with the future, with the present, with the now, because we cannot be was and used to forever." And that was going to market. And if you have been one of my fabulous donors and signed up for a copy of the High Flying Adventures of Captain Grief, you will be going to market in your hot little hands in the book. All right, that's it for me tonight. I am going to go to bed before I start burning the candle at both ends. All right, take care. And again, thank you very much to all of my wonderful supporters. And I will talk to you later. Bye.